Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video we'll be doing the full review of the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and I've been actually using it for the past 1 week, so I'll give you an idea. I have divided the review between the pros and cons, so I'll talk about that and share my experience. And guys, this Note 10 Plus is a massive phone. As you can see, it's having that 6.8-inch screen, so it's actually really big. And before I talk about the pros and cons, here are the quick specs. As you can see, it's having that massive 6.8-inch quad HD plus screen, and the screen quality is really good. It's powered by the new Exynos octa-core processor. It comes with 12 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, has a triple camera at the back, front-facing camera is a 10 megapixel, and other specs are on the screen for your reference. So let's quickly break it down between the pros and cons. First, let's talk about what do I like about it. Those are the pros, and the first thing is the 6.8-inch screen. Yes, it's actually pretty big, but the highlight thing is the screen, and the quality of the screen that Samsung has put is actually really good on this one. The colors look very good, and it doesn't hurt your eyes even after extended usage. The screen quality is really good. It can go actually pretty bright in outdoor lighting, so one of the best AMOLED screens. But again, in terms of technical specification, it's still a 60 Hz screen, not a 90 Hz screen. But nevertheless, I would say if you put a lot of AMOLED smartphones side by side, people will pick up this one because of the color reproduction, and everything just looks really good on this one. And in fact, I would say watch the other video that I posted last week about some of the tweaks that you should do if you're getting this Note 10 or the Note 10 Plus, because by default it's set to Full HD Plus. You should change it to Quad HD Plus. So the screen is a big plus point in my frank opinion. Now, second thing is that it's a very big phone, and I was also very much worried how would be it in your hand. And here, surprisingly, it's actually not that heavy. It's actually pretty light for the size, and many of the relatives, when I told them to hold the phone, they said yes, they thought it will be more heavy here than what it is. In fact, it's lighter in weight compared to even the Note 9. So in terms of weight balance, they have done a very good job, but still it's a very big phone. As you can see, I'm holding it, and I have to really stretch my hands to actually hold it. Now, moving to this one also has stereo speakers, and I would say the stereo speakers are implemented well on this one. The main speaker is here, and the earpiece is also actually pretty loud, and the sound comes out from that. So the speaker quality is actually really good on this one. You don't have to worry about it, and I would say the speaker quality is slightly better than the Galaxy S10 Plus. So good stereo speakers on this one. But one thing to note is that when I was keeping the volume at the maximum level, above 90%, you could say, the back used to vibrate a little bit. That is something that you have to note. But again, I've noticed this with many other phones with good stereo speakers. When you keep it on max volume, the back tends to vibrate a little bit. That's the same case on this one also. Now, if we talk about the fingerprint, here also they have gone with the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. As you can see, this is the point, and it actually works very well. But again, you have to get used to this. I was using the S10 Plus earlier, so I'm pretty used to this one because that one also has that. But it'll take you a day or two to get used to this one. And as you can see, you should enable this always on display, because that will give you an idea where to put your thumb on this, because you have to place it like this for it to unlock, and it works about 95% of the time. But one thing to note is that if there is even slight moisture on your fingers, this ultrasonic fingerprint scanner simply does not work. So that is something you have to note. Sometimes if your fingers are sweaty, you have to wipe it, otherwise it simply does not work. Again, some of you have asked, iris scanning or stuff that we had on the Note 9. So that is missing, but you do have that face unlock. But I would say the face unlocking is not as secure as this ultrasonic fingerprint scanner. Now, moving to another thing is that this one actually comes with the new Exynos 9825. That's the new octa-core processor. It's based on the 7nm process, and I would say it handles everything fine on this one. I haven't noticed any lagginess or anything in general usage. I would say it's really fast. And as you can see, also so many apps are open here, and I don't have to worry a bit about it, because the RAM management is really good. Again, it has that 12 gigabytes of RAM. I think so that is also a very big thing on this one. So in terms of RAM management and that stuff, you don't have to worry about it. It's done very well on this phone. It doesn't lag or do anything. And again, I frankly feel you don't technically need 12 gigabytes of RAM, but you do have 12 gigabytes of RAM on this one. Another thing that I like is that the minimum storage that you're getting on this one is again 256 gigabytes of internal storage. And yes, you can, it's a hybrid slot that you have, so you can have actually put a micro SD card if you really want. But frankly feel even in the base variant that comes with 256 gigabytes storage, storage is not an issue, and the storage is actually really fast on this one. So in those aspects, you don't have to worry. The hardware that you're getting is top notch, and also this One UI is good. I haven't noticed any lag. Again, I would say watch the other video that I have posted, which tells you some of the tweaks that you should actually do to make it even more faster in terms of UI by reducing the animation lag and all those things. Now moving to cellular call quality, I tested this one here in Hyderabad with Airtel and Jio, and here I would say the cellular call quality, I'm talking about cellular call quality, was very good. The earpiece is actually good, and you can even take calls via speakerphone. Those were also very good. Now if we move to network reception, I would say the network reception is above average, but again, I would not say that it is among the best. In fact, if I even compare it with, this is the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, I would say the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, at least for me here with Airtel, is giving me slightly better network reception compared to this one. For example, in this this room, Airtel, the signal level is very low and it is just hovering around the 1 bar, and sometimes the call get cut. But with the S10 Plus, I can actually I generally get 2 bars and I can take calls without disconnecting. So the network reception is much better than many of the other phones, because many of the other phones in this area simply just cut off. On this I could take some calls, but again, it was not among the best. For example, the best experience that I had was with the S10 Plus in terms of network reception. Again, if you are not in an area with very low network reception, that doesn't matter, but that is something that I have noticed. Now we talk about the battery capacity. It's a 4300 milliampere battery, and I really like the fact that we are getting that 25 watt charger in the box. In fact, this phone actually supports 45 watts quick charging, but you have to buy that charger separately. But even with the 25 watt supplied charger, when this was around I don't recall, about 12 or 13%, I put it on charge, and within 1 hour it was completely charged. So significant improvement, I would say, compared to earlier flagship smartphones of Samsung that used to come with a 15 watt charger. This one is a 25 watt charger and it charges really quickly. But yes, if you want to charge even faster, a 45 watt charger is supported by this device. Now if you talk about the battery life, here I would say the battery life is again pretty good, but I won't say that is the best that I have seen. For example, the battery life is actually pretty close to the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, and in terms of standby time, it is actually pretty good. If you're sort of an average user, you can stretch it to about 1.5 days. But if you're sort of a heavy business user with 2 SIMs, I would say it would give you a screen on time anywhere between 5 to about 6 hours of screen on time. And at the end of the day also, let's say morning 8 o'clock, if you leave, by 11 o'clock, you will have about 20%. But again, this is not a smartphone that will last you for 2 days on a single charge. But the good thing is that you have that 25 watt charger. So it charges actually pretty quickly. Now if we talk about the gaming, I didn't do very heavy gaming, because this is a business centric smartphone. I did play PUBG for about 5-7 minutes and it played fine, but apart from that I didn't do any more gaming on this. Now moving to the camera setup has been actually improved. If we compare it with the Note 9, we now have a triple camera setup. We have a 12 megapixel main camera with variable aperture. Then we also have a 12 megapixel that is actually a zoom lens, and then finally we also have a wide angle lens that's the 16 megapixel, and also you have the depth camera on this one. And moving to the front facing camera, it's a 10 megapixel front facing camera that we have. And I would say if we talk about the rear facing camera in outdoor conditions, as you can see with the sample shots, the camera performance is actually really good. The colors are punchy and good, and you also have that wide angle lens, which I particularly like. So in outdoor conditions, I felt that the camera performance is actually pretty good. But when you move to indoor lighting conditions like this is artificial lighting conditions. Here I noticed that the saturation level is a little bit on the highest side, and some of the skin tones, for example, these are the sample shots that I've took of myself, they come out actually particularly dark, and sometimes when you use that portrait mode or stuff, it does that extra smoothing. So I was expecting slightly better camera performance. Hopefully with future software updates they can improve it. So I would say the camera performance is actually pretty good, but again I won't say that this is among the best rear facing cameras that I have seen. Again, that would go to the Pixel series. I would say the Pixel series in artificial lighting, indoor lighting conditions do a far better job than this one, if color accuracy and everything, dynamic range, etc. is included. Now if we move to the front facing camera, it's a 10 megapixel front facing camera, and here are some of the samples taken with this one. But in indoor lighting situation, as you can see, some of the samples that I've taken in this same lighting over here, and as you can see, it just whitens up your images quite a bit. And again, I just took this picture here in the same lighting, and as you can see, it's just making it over brightening it up. So the white balance is a little bit off, and it does add that skin smoothing even if you disable beauty mode and everything with the front facing camera. So the front facing camera gets the job done, but again I would say it's pretty average. I would say if one thing I would love to see improved is the front facing camera's performance in indoor lighting. So that was regarding the camera on this one. So these were the things that I liked about this device. And yes, there is obviously that S Pen, so that makes the Note series what it is. So you have the S Pen features. I won't get too much into this S Pen features, but you have the quick note and all those things. These things work. This we have seen even in earlier Note series. So all those features that we have seen in the earlier Note series are there. Even I personally like the screen, right? You can just take out and write the notes over here like this, or reminders. So this is actually pretty good. So this was there even in the Note 9. So that is something is there. You can just save it and it gets saved automatically. So I like that feature. But now the S Pen has been technically improved in certain areas, I would say. But I would say in some of the other aspects, it's sort of a gimmick. But let's now move to the cons section. So let me just bring this page, and okay, here are the cons, and this is something that I have noticed on this one. And as you can see, the phone is really big, and when you hold it, and I was taking calls like this, as you can see over here, it digs into my hand like this. And on long calls, it just because it's not curved over here, it really digs in your hand. And for very long calls over 10-12 minutes, I was feeling a little bit uncomfortable because already the phone is really big and it digs in your hand. So in that aspect, I would say it's just little too big to be comfortable personally for me. If you have really big hands, that might be a different situation. But again, I have tested hundreds and hundreds of phones, and I'm used to big size phone, but this one just feels slightly too big to be comfortable to take very long calls personally for me. Now let's move to the next thing. Because it's really big like this, let's just open something like YouTube or whatever. So as you can see, let's just open up this one of my own videos. Let's just skip this ad. So as you can see, this is the video, and I really like the fact that it's almost edge to edge, so you get a very immersive experience on this one. But again, as it's like this, many times what I have noticed is that accidentally I'm touching the corners on this one and skipping tracks that YouTube, if you just touch, it skips to 30 seconds. So this is something that I have noticed, and this is happening again and again, I would say, because the screen is just too close to the edges, and accidentally I am noticing quite a bit of touches. It's not just even on YouTube also, but some with the streaming apps like Netflix, etc. also have noticed. So again, that is something you have to note. Again, I never had this problem. Though even the S10 Plus is really big, I never had that sort of a problem. But that is what I have noticed. repeatedly on this Note 10 Plus. Now, another thing that I really do not like is that I don't know why, but they have removed the 3.5mm headphone jack. So you have to rely on Bluetooth headsets. And yes, that supplied AKG USB Type-C headset is good enough, but they should have given even USB Type-C to a 3.5mm headphone dongle, because that would have been much better. But again, many of the vendors are removing the 3.5mm headphone jack. Now Samsung also has started doing that with this one. Now another thing to note is that all the buttons are on the left side. We simply don't have any buttons on this one, so everything is on this. And again, for that also you have to get used to the same. I've gotten used to the same, but I miss the fact that the power button should have been on this side, but everything is on this side. But eventually I would say you get used to the same. Now if we talk about the S Pen, the S Pen now, as I've told you, has a lot more functionality. Let's open this camera app over here, and now this also has a gyroscope and stuff. Even the Note 9 we had a Bluetooth connection, but this also has a gyroscope and stuff. And now what if you press this button, you can do, these are known as air gestures, and now I'll try that. I can just move between the modes, as you can see, like this without touching the button. I don't know, but in the last 7 days I frankly did not have any use of doing this. You can even move to the rear facing camera like this. So yes, it works. These gestures work particularly well in the camera app, but I frankly feel this is sort of the gimmicks area. The only functionality that I would say you might use it is in the selfie. Just press this button and it takes a selfie, but that was also present on the Note 9. So yes, we do have some new gestures with the S Pen, but particularly I haven't used it in the last 1 week. Maybe you will like it, but I frankly feel those fall in the gimmicks department. Now another thing is there is that case supplied in the box on this one, but I feel the quality of the case is very cheap. This is sort of that rubberish case, and you put your note on this, it feels a little bit cheap. They should have actually gone with a better quality case like what they did. This is a thin plastic case what they have given with the S10 Plus. So I don't know why Samsung cut corners on this, because even with the case on this one, the S10 Plus actually looks really nice, but this one simply does not look nice, and you might have to go with the external case. And the problem with the case is that already this phone is so big, and after applying the case it becomes even bigger. So that is again something you have to note. So these were the cons. And lastly, yes, how can I forget about this, is the pricing in India. This starts at rupees 80,000 in India. That makes it one of the most expensive Samsung phones in India. I like the old Note 9's pricing. It was about 67 or 66,000, but this one at 80,000, certainly Samsung is charging quite a bit of premium for this one. And to sum it up, I would say this is a smartphone for people who really are going to use the S Pen. You think that you're going to really use the S Pen and really like a really large screen and have really big hands, then you can certainly go with this one. I also like one fact is that this also has that Samsung Pay with MST. So that is something that I would say that I like. But again, most of those features are also present on the Galaxy S10 Plus. So if you really don't think so that you're going to use the Galaxy the S Pen, then I frankly feel that the Galaxy S10 Plus might be a better and a more practical device. Anyways guys, that was my review of this Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus. What do you guys think about the same? And if you guys are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care guys.